Hi my friends, welcome to the channel English Professionally, and we are going to talk about very important English prepositions: on, at, in, by and for. So really, the question is, when should we use on, it, at, by or for? And the thing is that you just need to know these phrases. So if you know these phrases, it will help you to speak English correctly and fluently. Okay, so really, when do we use on? So we use on with, so if you have a look at this table, so you see on Monday. For example, I can say, let's meet on Monday, yeah? So let's meet. Okay, let me type it for you. So let's meet on Monday. Let's meet on Monday, yeah? Or Tuesday, on Tuesday. Let's meet on Tuesday. On Wednesday, on Thursday, on Friday, on Saturday, on Sunday. So it's very easy to remember that you use on with days of the week. Days of the week, yeah? So, or it can be, for example, on Monday morning. On Monday morning, yeah? So let's meet on Monday, on Tuesday, or let's meet on Monday morning, or maybe on Monday evening. So it's about a certain day, or maybe on Christmas Day. On Christmas Day. For example, let's go there on Christmas Day. Let's go there. Let's go there on Christmas Day. So you might think that we need to say at Christmas, and actually it's absolutely right. So we say, so if you have a look at, we say at Christmas, but on Christmas Day. Please remember these rules. So let's go there on Christmas Day or at Christmas. Please don't confuse these two different prepositions. So at Christmas or on Christmas Day. On Christmas Day. Okay, so next, or on Saturday night. Okay, talking about a certain date, you also need to use on. For example, yeah, so it's the date of my birthday, and you also need to read it correctly, to pronounce it correctly. So you see that it's April 26, but we pronounce it another way. Okay, let me explain it to you. So, for example, yeah, so my date of birth, yeah, so is April 26. So, but when you say that you were born on a certain date or day, so you say, I was born, then you need to put on there, then this date on the 26th, so it's in my case, on the 26th of April in 1986. So please remember this structure. I was born on the. So then you say 26, maybe 21st, 22nd of. Then you need to actually to talk about a month, April, May, December, and a year. But you put in before a year. So I can ask you, so when were you born? So when were you born? When were you born? When were you born? Were you born? Or tell me your date of birth. Tell me your date of birth. And you need to say, yeah, and you need to say, so I was born maybe on the 1st of April, on the 1st of May in maybe 1973, something like that. So please write about it in the comments below, really. When were you born? So I know that many students so make lots of mistakes here, yeah, and mispronounce. So they forget to use on, there, or they forget to use th, or but you know that there are exceptions: first, second, and third. Yeah, please revise these rules of April. Okay, what is next? So on that day, and two more very common expressions: on holiday, on holiday. For example, he isn't available, he is on holiday. He isn't available. He isn't available. He is on holiday. He isn't available. He is on holiday. Yeah. So if you walk somewhere, so use on foot. For example, I went there on foot. It means that you walked towards a certain place, so you didn't use actually a car, you didn't drive a car, you didn't go there by car, by bus, or something like that. So I went there on foot. So you were walking on foot. Good, very good. Okay, what about in? We say in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. So, for example, I usually do it in the evening. I usually do it in the evening, or you can say that I usually learn English in the morning, in the evening, and during the day. So maybe in the afternoon, yeah? So I usually learn English in the morning, in the evening, and during the day. Okay, then in spring, in summer, in autumn, yeah, and in winter, of course, yeah? But you know, sometimes students ask me, so which one is correct? In spring or in the spring? In the spring, okay? So which one is correct? And the fact is that you can say in spring or in the spring. So you know that most people go on holiday in summer. So you see, most people go on holiday in summer or in the summer. You know that I mostly meet in summer, but in the summer is also okay. So you know that we have already talked about it. So on holiday. So most people go on holiday in summer. Okay, good. So in an hour, for example, I'll be back in an hour. I'll be back in an hour, or after an hour. So this hour will pass and then I'll be back. I'll be back in an hour, or I'll be back in a minute. I'll be back in a minute, okay? I'll be back in a second. I'll be back, so maybe in a couple of minutes. In a couple of minutes means in 2 minutes. So these phrases are very natural, yeah, in our conversation. So I'll be back in an hour, in a minute, in a second, in a couple of minutes. Good. So next, so with years, so I was born, for example, in 1986, or it happened in 1999 or so, and in the 21st century, maybe in the 19th century, and so on. Okay, what about at? We use it with time. For example, I got up at 5 o'clock. Yeah? I got up at 5 o'clock. At 5 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, it's so early. At 5 o'clock, at 6 o'clock, at 7 o'clock, and so on. Yeah, good. So we also say at night, at midnight. So you remember that we say at Christmas, but on Christmas Day, at the weekend. So at the weekend, at the moment, I'm very busy at the moment. I'm very busy at the moment, unfortunately. So you can say unfortunately. Unfortunately, it means it's a pity. It's a real pity. I'm very busy. I'm very busy at the moment. I'm very busy at the moment. Or at the weekend, we can discuss, or we can discuss it at the weekend. We can discuss it at the weekend. We can discuss it at the weekend. So maybe on Saturday, maybe on Sunday. at Easter, you know, it's the greatest religious holiday in Christianity at the moment. At that time, so talking about the past, you can say that at that time I didn't understand that. At that time I didn't understand that. Okay, let me just give you this example. So at that time I didn't understand that. At that time I didn't understand that. So home, at home, you know, these expressions are very common. So I'm at home, okay, I'm at work, and you also need to remember I'm at the airport, I'm at the airport. These expressions are very common. So what about by and for? So I know that students often confuse by. So if you go to a certain place, you can say that I went there by car. So I went there by car. I went there by car, by bus. So you see, without any articles, I went there by car, by bus. Okay, so you see that you can also say by train, by sea, by air. For example, I can ask you, do you like traveling by car? Do you like traveling by car? Do you like traveling? Do you like traveling by car? Do you like traveling by car? So yeah, you can say, yes, I really like it. So do you like traveling by sea? So please remember these prepositions, yeah? So, but in fact, so you can say that in a car, we say in a car. So if you use it with an article, for example, you say in a car, so, and on a bus, on a train, yeah, you need to remember it. So on the bus, or on the bus, on the train, and in a car. For example, when you're talking about a person's location. So he's in the car, he's in the car, he's on the bus, he's on the bus, he's on the bus. We mostly hear these things. But talking about general things, you see by car, by bus, by train, by sea, about sending some things, about traveling, and so on. Then, so we use by with passive voice when the action was done by someone. For example, the book was written by him. So the book was written by him or by her. By her, we use it with passive voice. Passive voice. By. It means that he wrote the book or she wrote the book. So it's very common with passive voice. And then you also need to remember these expressions by mistake. So I made it by mistake. It means that I wasn't going to do it. Or by chance, by accident. So I met my friend by accident. Or by chance or accidentally. So I wasn't going to meet him, and so you see it. Okay, what about for? We often use for with, for example, for a week, for and now, for a year. So you know that there is one very widespread phrase. So I've been learning English for 2 years. Yeah. So you say. So, or you can hear this kind of question: how long have you been learning English? How long have you been learning English? And you can hear, I've been learning English for, or for a year, for 2 years, for 2 years, for 3 years, for 3 months, and so on. So it means like, you know, during. And also for breakfast. For example, what did you eat for breakfast? What did you eat for lunch? What did you eat for dinner? And one more very popular phrase or expression, for a walk. For a walk. Let's go for a walk. Let's go for a walk. Let's go for a walk. It means let's go out. Let's go out. I have a dog, and you know that I often go for a walk, yeah, with my dog. So let's go for a walk, or I can tell my friend, yeah, let's go for a walk, let's go for a walk, let's go out. So I just, I need to go out, I need to breathe fresh air. Okay, so I find this information extremely useful. So you can spread this information with your friends, you can put a like, yeah, and you just need to remember these phrases to speak English more correctly and more naturally. Okay, thanks a lot, my friends, for your support. Thanks a lot. And I think that you really like the idea of this video and this video itself. Thank you very much, my friend. Thank you. Hi my friends, welcome to the channel English Professionally, and this video is key to English prepositions. Really, I believe it's the most important video about English prepositions. And basically, you just need to know, some phrases with prepositions and some rules, we're going to talk about them at the end of our presentation too. Some patterns. Okay, so, at. Please, my friend, remember, we say at home, at work, at school, at the airport, at university. Then, so different phrases with o'clock, for example, at 5 o'clock, at 6 o'clock, at 7 o'clock, and so on. Okay, next. At night, at noon, at midnight, at midday. You know, there are other very important phrases with at, and we need to know them. The thing is that we don't have enough space here, but no problem, we have the second part because it's a full version. So the second part, so phrases with at. So we say at the weekend in British English, but on the weekend in American English. At the station, at the top, at the bottom, at the end of something, and at the beginning of something. For example, at the end of the book, at the beginning of the book. If it's without of, so we don't have of, we say in the beginning and in the end, so you need to remember it. Next, at the party, at the moment. So, and we also say at Easter, at New Year, and at Christmas. Yeah, remember, at Easter, at New Year, and at Christmas. There is one very important rule. If you add day after these holidays, you use on. Like here, look. So we say on Christmas Day, because you see day, but at Christmas. On New Year's Day, but at New Year. So, at Easter, but on Easter Day, because of this day. It's a rule, it's English grammar, and you need to remember it, okay? Yeah, I hope that's clear. Okay, let's talk about in. So, we say in the morning, in the evening, in the afternoon. Then we use in with years. For example, in 1978, in 1999, so in 2015, and so on. So with years. We also use in with months. So in March, in February, in December, in April, in July, and so on. We also use in with seasons. Students often ask me, how should we say in spring or in the spring? And the answer is very simple. It's correct to say in the spring and in spring. It's also correct. So I mostly meet without that. So in spring, in summer, in autumn, in winter, but in there, with seasons is also possible. Okay, so next, phrases like this one. In the 1980s, so in the 1970s, in the 1990s, and so on. Good. What about on? So we use on with days of the week or with weekdays. For example, on Mondays, yeah, on Tuesdays, on Wednesdays, on Thursdays, on Fridays, on Saturdays, on Sundays. So we say on the weekend in American English. You know that we talked about it. So we say so at the weekend in British English and on the weekend in American English. So that's the main difference. All right. So we also say on, we also use on with, for example, on Monday morning, on Tuesday morning, on Wednesday morning, and so on. And that's also true about evening. So on Wednesday evening, on Thursday evening, on Friday evening, on Saturday evening. So you need to have this combination. So day of the week and morning or evening. So next, on my birthday. Yeah, and so we don't need on here, and we also actually don't need on here, but that's clear, yeah? So on my birthday. Say on my birthday. Why on? Because of the day. On my birthday. On holiday. So it's the same story like day, yeah? On holiday. So you know that we say holiday in British English, and we mostly meet on vacation in American English. So that's the difference between British English and American English. Okay, so we mostly meet on time. So we mostly meet this preposition with time. Yeah. So what about Christmas Day and New Year's Day? So you see it with on because of the day. On Christmas Day, on New Year's Day, like here on Easter Day. But if you don't have day, so you need to say at Easter, at New Year, at Christmas. Good, very good. Then we use on with dates. For example, you see on the 11th of May. How do we pronounce it? How do we pronounce it really? On the 11th of May, on the 12th of May, on the 13th of May, on the 14th of May, and so on. So many students mispronounce it. So yeah, so if you try to pronounce everything correctly, so for example, I can say that I was born on the 26th of April. So don't forget to use of on the 26th of April. And really, when were you born? You can write, I was born on the 1st of December. I was born on the 2nd of February. I was born on the 3rd of March. I was born on the 11th of, of July. I was born on the 25th of August, and so on. Okay, good, very good. But we also need to look at the second part. Yeah, we forgot to do it with in, so let's do it with in and on, and we'll have a look at by and for after that. So in, let's continue. So we say in a minute or in a second. For example, I'll be back in a minute. I'll be back in a second. Or you can also say I'll be back in 2 minutes, in 10 minutes, in 15 minutes. It's also okay. Okay, so we also say in an hour, in 2 hours, in 3 hours. So talking about the future. For example, she'll be back in 2 hours. Okay, next, in 2 days, in 3 days. So good. So you can also hear, so in 5 months, in 2 years. Yeah, so what will be in 2 years, no one knows, for example. Okay, other phrases with in bed, in hospital, in prison, in the street, in the middle. So in the picture, it's a very important phrase. For example, when you want to describe a certain picture or a photo, so more students use this phrase incorrectly. Remember, in the picture, in the photo. For example, what do you see in the photo? What do you see in the picture? Only in. Then, in the beginning and in the end. but at the end of something, at the beginning of something, in the library. Yeah, and some more phrases with on. So on the bus, on the plane, on the ship, on the boat, on the train, on the phone, on TV, or on television, so but we mostly hear on TV, it's a short form, on the radio, on New Year's Eve, on Easter Day, on the right, on the left, on foot. These phrases are very important. So often, students often actually misunderstand this phrase on foot. So how do you usually get to work? So, you need to say, for example, on foot, on foot. It means that you walk to work, so with your legs. Okay, right. So what about by? So we say by car. So when we travel somewhere, we say, for example, how do you prefer to travel? By car. So the fundamental difference is that after by, you don't use a preposition, and you say by car, by train, by ship, by plane, by sea, by air, by land. But of course, if you are going to use, an article, if you're going to use an article, it's another preposition. For example, in a car, so on the train, on the ship, on the plane, so I can swim in the sea, and so on. I mean that, so if you don't have an article, here use by. So if you have an article, like here, so you say on the bus, on the plane, on the ship, on the boat, on the train, but in a car, you need to remember, in a car. If it's without a, so you say by car. So by underground, so you know that we also use by with passive voice. For example, by him, by her, the book was written by him. It means that he wrote the book. The book was written by him. By tomorrow, so talking about deadline, talking about your deadline, for example. So when do you need to finish it? By tomorrow. It means that, so not later than tomorrow, So today is the last day, by tomorrow. Or, for example, let's continue, by next week, by next month, by next year. For example, I need to reach a strong advanced level in English, or a strong advanced English level by next month, by next year. Okay, and we also have very useful phrases with for a walk. So you can go for a walk, do like going for a walk, for a change. For example, we need maybe to record, a video lesson about articles, for a change. So if you want to change something, for an hour. So I can't say that I've been recording this lesson for an hour, it's much shorter. For 2 days, so he was away, for example, for 2 days, for 3 weeks, for 2 months, for 5 years. So I have been learning English for 5 years. You note that we often use for with present perfect continuous. Okay, and I think maybe you don't actually see it well, no problem. So I'll make it smaller for you. So by underground, by him, here, by tomorrow, and for breakfast, so for lunch, for breakfast, for lunch, and for dinner. For breakfast, for lunch, and for dinner. So for example, what did you have for breakfast? What do you usually have for dinner? What do you usually have for lunch? And so on. And sometimes you also meet supper. So dinner and supper. Alright, so it's a very important thing. So basically, you need to know these actually most important cases. So when we use prepositions, but that's not all. There is one more very important and maybe the most important thing. Really, I don't understand why other people don't talk about it. So my aim is to help you is to help you understand how to learn English. So really, the first step is that you need to know just these basic phrases, and you need to understand, for example, that in means inside, on, just on the surface, for example, by, so we often use with passive voice, and other cases, is the first step. But there are other steps, my friends, too. You also need actually to know about 5 more steps if you really want to be successful in learning prepositions, or if you really want to succeed so in learning English prepositions and using them effectively in your English conversation. So you need to know different prepositional phrases. You need to know them, you need to memorize them by heart and start with most common ones. For example, at once means immediately, in doubt means I'm not sure, on the whole, in general, by mistake, so it happened accidentally or it wasn't going to happen, for a walk. Yeah, we talked about it, so you can say walk or go for a walk. So you need to pay attention to these prepositional phrases. Secondly, you need to pay attention to prepositions with adjectives. For example, good at. I'm good at English. Interested in. I'm interested in foreign languages. Keen on. I'm keen on music. Then, surprised by or at, you know that we can use surprised with by or at. So, I'm really surprised by your ability to record, so many lessons of supreme quality. Supreme, it means very, very high quality. Verb. So prepositions with verbs, like smile at, so she smiled at me. Succeed in. So I succeeded in learning English in a couple of years. So insist on. I insisted on it. So I told someone to do it and it happened. Abide by. For example, we need to abide by the rules. We need to abide by the rules. We need to follow the rules. Like wait for me. Then nouns plus prepositions. Like look at, it can be a verb, or it can be a noun. So let's have a look at the previous slides. Let's have a look at it. Interest in. So your interest in, so in this thing is difficult to explain. Attack on. So there was a sudden attack on those troops, yeah. So reason for, so what's the reason for doing it? Reason for, like, and the most important thing, so not maybe the most, but one of the most important thing about phrasal verbs, it's about phrasal verbs. So really there are lots of verbs with prepositions and we call them phrasal verbs, and they have these verbs a special meaning, and you also need to know them. Like get at can mean suggest. What are you getting at? What are you suggesting? Take in, like deceive. He was taken in. He was deceived. It means that he got into trouble. Put on. So he put on warm clothes. So he had them on his body. Go by. So time goes by. It means time passes. Look for. What are you looking for? What are you trying to find? So to sum up, my friend, please also pay attention to prepositional phrases and prepositions with different parts of speech, so such as adjectives, verbs, nouns, and my friend, don't forget about phrasal verbs too. It's also a very important part of English grammar. So really it's the key to English prepositions. So you need to understand these things, what you need to learn. My aim is to help you understand what's going on in reality. So not only these phrases with time, prepositions of time, place, not only this, but these things too. Yeah? And actually, it doesn't lie on the surface, but it's of great importance, and this fact is undeniable. We can't deny this fact. Thank you very much, my friends, and I wish you good luck. See you. Bye-bye. Hi, my friends. Welcome to the channel English Professionally. and we're going to talk about very important English prepositions: on, at, in, by, and for. So really, the question is, when should we use on, it, at, by, or for? And the thing is that you just need to know these phrases. So if you know these phrases, it will help you to speak English correctly and fluently. Okay, so really, when do we use on? So we use on with, so if you have a look at this table, so you see on Monday. For example, I can say, let's meet on Monday, yeah? So let's meet, okay? Let me type it for you. So let's meet on Monday. Let's meet on Monday, yeah? Or Tuesday, on Tuesday. Let's meet on Tuesday. On Wednesday, on Thursday, on Friday, on Saturday, on Sunday. So it's very easy to remember that you use on with days of the week. Yeah? So, or it can be, for example, on Monday morning. Yeah? So let's meet, yeah? So my date of birth, yeah? So is April 26. So, but when you say that you were born on a certain date or day, so you say, I was born, then you need to put on there, then this date on the 26th, so it's in my case, on the 26th of April in 1986. So please remember this structure. I was born on the. So then you say 20 on Christmas Day or at Christmas. Please don't confuse these two different prepositions. So at Christmas or on Christmas Day. Okay, so next, or on Saturday night. Okay, talking about a certain date, you also need to use on. For example, yeah, so it's the date of my birthday, and you also need to read it correctly, to pronounce it correctly. So you see that it's April 26, but we pronounce it another way. Okay, let me explain it to you. So, for example, on Monday, on Tuesday, or let's meet on Monday morning, or maybe on Monday evening. So it's about a certain day, or maybe on Christmas Day. For example, let's go there on Christmas Day. Let's go there on Christmas Day. So you might think that we need to say at Christmas, and actually it's absolutely right. So we say, so if you have a look at, we say at Christmas, but on Christmas Day. Please remember these rules. So let's go there